my job's had me traveling for most of this last week, but got home and I had a pick set waiting on the front porch that you guys have been asking for. This is and I got this from a link that many of you sent. It's called the Longans 29-piece lockpick set. It comes with a lot of different stuff. Let's take a look at them one at a time. First of all, you get this clear lock. We've seen this guy before. It's the standard clear acrylic body lock. Nothing too spectacular about it. They call this the training lock, and when you look at it, about the only thing these are good for is if you're curious about how the internal mechanism works, how the pins react to the key going in, for example, what happens when the core turns, how the actuator disengages from the shackle. This is a cool lock to do that with. But you know what? Everything you can learn from this lock, you just saw it in this very quick demonstration. These are not really good. Whoa, these are not really good training locks. You just saw that thing launch apart, but I guess I should have checked that. The end part here does come off, obviously, it just happened, and you can reload this with security pins. The problem is the body of these are made from acrylic, and acrylic is a pretty soft plastic, so as you go in and start picking, you're going to wear each of those cylinders. They're going to become elongated, and then eventually, doesn't matter what bitting or what kind of pins you bit in here, you're just going to be able to rake them open. So in terms of a training lock, this is really, don't waste your money on this, guys. Don't buy this kit just to get this lock for sure. You also get what they call the 2016 lockpicking guide. At least that's what they say. This is what comes in the box. That's it. That's your lockpicking guide. A single piece of paper. It must be good stuff because every page is stamped top secret. Nothing on this page other than their logo, their disclaimer, the inventory of what's in your kit. Okay, so that's kind of a waste. Flip it over, and on the other side, again, logo, forget that. So most of this is just telling you to hold the lock in your hand, put a tensioner in it, stick your pick in there, and move it around, and then pop, the lock opens. So not a lot to be gained from this guide, I have to say. So it all boils down to the 29-piece lockpick set. They say right away it has a leather case. Not leather, guys. It's plastic or vinyl, or I think somebody said it's called pleather. So it's leather-like, and from 100 meters away it could be mistaken for leather, but up close like this, it's nothing but vinyl. Inside, the zipper works very smoothly. Inside, you are overwhelmed. There's quite a collection of picks here. Got very bright, nice handles. We're going to take these out of here and look at them one at a time. They say these are titanium picks, and then they later changed it to titanium plated picks. So we're going to see what the difference is and compare some of these. Let me get them all sorted out, and we'll take a closer look at these picks. Well, got to say I'm a little bit surprised. There's actually more than they promised here. We got a total of 28 picks, and it looks like 6 different tensioners. So it's only supposed to be a 29-piece kit, and they've exceeded it. Let's take a look a little closer at some of the stuff they do. I've got it sorted according to pick type. So it looks like we got about 12 different hooks. Now, as you progress down, first of all, you got a standard hook. And by the way, these handles are not bad at all. They seem to fit in your hand very well. I have used them on a couple of padlocks with wide open keyways, and they do transmit the feel, the vibrations, and all the feedback from the lock pretty well. The problem I'm seeing here, first of all, the metal is 31 thousandths of an inch thick. So very, very thick picks. And looking at it, the titanium, if that truly is titanium, it doesn't do anything for the performance whatsoever. It is a fairly soft steel. These will bend very easily. So as you go at your picks, particularly beginners who tend to stress them, what will happen, you're going to stress it vertically along this axis, obviously. And so the tips will begin to straighten out, and you'll bend them back with a pair of pliers, and then they'll straighten out, you'll bend them back. And then after you've done that 4 or 5 times, you're going to get a fatigue fracture, probably right up in there somewhere, and your tip is going to break off. So just be aware of that. These are very thick, but they're not going to be that durable. So there's a standard hook. All of these are molded into the handles. These are permanent installations. These are not slide-in. So when you look at them, they're obviously going to, at this price point, you wouldn't expect to see any kind of hand finishing. So you're going to have to do a little bit of that on the picks. I'm not going to keep pulling all of these up because several of them are almost identical. Here we have a DeForest half ball. So I actually do like this one, other than the 31,000 thickness. These next 5 picks are virtually identical, other than the molding error that you see here. It was molded crooked, but that won't affect the picking in any way. But the curves, the thicknesses, all of these are almost identical. And then we get into something pretty interesting. These 3 have very, very thin shafts. So if you have to get in a really tight spot, it would probably work until you put too much stress on the pick itself, because they are very soft. And they're not quite like tin, but they're not going to stand up to any level of long-term abuse or to being repaired over and over. So again, just be aware of that. Move down here, we got a total of 8 different rakes. We have a snake rake or S rake. It's a little bit oversized, but with a shaft this thick, I think that would not be a problem. If you can get the shaft in to the keyway, then this would probably be the right size snake rake that you want to use. We have a normal sized, almost snake rake, but again, very thick shaft. All the shafts, I measured every group, and they're all identical. We got some pretty good shapes on some rakes here. It's not a Bogota, but your lock doesn't care. As long as you got some undulations in there to cause those pins to move up and down, it'll be fine. You got something here that looks almost like a flame pick. I don't know. It might be for cars. I really can't say I've ever seen one in that shape. It would probably work, but I don't know what these really are trying to emulate, which pick. It's just random cuts. This would definitely not last very long under any stresses. We have a city rake or L rake. It's not bad. It's all punched out there, nice and sharp. You got to do some finishing. And we got a ball and a half ball. Actually, a double ball and a double half ball. And we have another one like this in the car picks. It's almost identical to this one. I'll show you in just a moment. And then we have 2 extractors. Kind of odd here. The bottom one is more traditional, and actually this is a pretty good extractor. I did use this to pull a key out of a quick set with a nice wide open keyway, obviously. And this is nice and sharp to bring out the piece of broken key. I couldn't get this one to work though. I really don't know. I've never seen an extractor shaped quite like that. I mean, I suppose if you could get it in there and get it behind something, you could extract it, but I just don't understand what that shape is really for. We got 2 rakes, and these are for Dimple locks. And the top one, this one works on Caba locks. Not a bad little pick. Again, it's very wide if you can get it into the keyway. I have one of these I've been using for years. I filed down both sides of it to allow it to fit into more keyways. The one on the right, same thing. I had to thin it out, and it does work pretty good. It does. Dimple locks really don't care where the bumps are, and this shape is pretty standard on all the Goso kits and some of the other inexpensive kits, and they do work pretty good. We have some what I consider to be dedicated car locks. We have a double-sided wafer. I have used these on older cars. When they get compressed, you can just grab them, stretch them back apart, and go right back to it. This one is definitely a car pick. I have never used one of these, so it looks like it will work like that. It's got a little cut to position itself on the pin, and it also looks like it works like that. I've really got no clue. This is the one that looks like the double half ball. It's again almost identical, except the peaks are just a little bit sharper, and I've seen these in car kits before. And lastly, we have a higher rise. This one is typical of a car pick. You could use it on pretty much any other lock, but these are generally in car kits. In terms of the tension tools, we have, again, if you got shutter locks, we have this standard Goso shutter lock. It has a thin end here and a thick end there. You simply squeeze it, you stick that in the shutter to push the shutter out of the way, and then when you let go of it, the spring tension holds the shutter out of the way unless you get in there and work on the wafer. So these do work. It's a very strong tension and a very wide pick, but if you can find a lock that'll fit into, I'm positive it will work. These 4, these are virtually identical. The bottoms are all the same thicknesses, the same lengths. The tops, it looks like we got a double set here. It's a little bit bent, but it doesn't matter. The lock doesn't care. These basically are 4 identical tensioners. So you got 4 of those guys, and then you got one of these. I actually like these. You don't find these in US kits very often, usually in European kits, are very popular in the UK. Inexpensive to make, but these guys work great. They got a little twist in one end and then a flat in the other. These fit into, this is like a medium thickness, fits into a lot of different locks. So when you throw all this together, we don't have a 29-piece kit like they advertise. We actually have about a 35, if I counted right. If you count the brochure and everything, about 35 different pieces. More pieces than that if you count the self-detonating padlock, but I'm just going to count that as one piece instead of all the different springs and pins that shut out into the camera. So guys, is it worth it? Is it worth $35.95? I know a lot of people are price sensitive, and you've heard me push this before. I always push for quality. Let's say you buy this kit, and this is your favorite hook, and you're using it, and after a while it breaks. Where do you get another one? It's not, you can't buy a single pick, not replaceable, and believe me, this will break given the quality or low quality of the metal. You'd have to buy a whole kit to replace that hook. So you break that, you're really out of the picking business until you can either make another hook or find another one or spend another 36 bucks. Not a great deal. I urge you, don't go after volume. Don't go after the size of the kit. Size doesn't matter. You guys heard that before, I'm sure. The size of the kit doesn't matter. Most of these you will not use. If I were to pick through here, I would take 2 of the hooks. I would probably take one of the thin guys for delicate locks. I would grab my S-rake, that rake, and probably a double half ball and the extractor. That's my kit. All the rest of this is unnecessary fluff. It's a waste of your time and money. You really don't need that stuff. So don't go after size, because absolutely it doesn't matter. Go after quality. I would prefer you buy those 7 picks I just pointed out from a reputable dealer, a quality manufacturer of quality picks. They'll last a lot longer. And then when you break them, eventually all picks break. When you break that quality tool, you can go back and just buy that single one. Much cheaper than having to buy the whole kit to replace a single pick. That's crazy talk. So no, please, guys, do not buy this kit or any other kit. We haven't had a lot of luck buying inexpensive kits off of Amazon. They always seem to throw in stuff that it just sounds like, leather case. It sounds really good, but in practice, it's junk. It's absolute junk. Stick with quality. Buy a smaller quantity of quality tools rather than getting a whole bunch of crap for a cheap price, because it's crap. Crap is cheap. Anyway, fellas, thanks for your time. Stay safe, stay legal. I'm not going to give this kit away, but I'm going to show it the appropriate level of respect at the end of the video.